Hello and welcome to Revit Advanced tutorials. Today we're going to draw a basic family window. So we click on New and open a new family template. And we go further down and we choose the metric family or the metric window.rft template file. Click on Open, and what we see is a wall with an opening. It's got an exterior and an interior side. We go to the reference level, and for the section of the window frames we start to draw a few reference planes, which we find under Home. We start on the left side beneath our wall and draw a new reference plane. Then we click on the reference plane, and now we choose the pick line option, which allows us to use an offset value, and we enter 3 centimeters. So now we just need to click on the reference plane and we draw 4 new reference plane on the horizontal line and on 4 new reference planes on the vertical reference plane. Now I'm just going to draw some symbolic lines to show you the frames we would like to draw afterwards. This is just for showing purposes, and we're going to erase these symbolic lines later. You don't have to draw them. So now you see, if the lines are too thick, you just change the scale of the plan. I just changed it now to 1 to 10. And the next step is we are going to dimension our reference planes. We are going to dimension the width of the frames. See now the width of the outer frame and now the width of the inner frame. And again we change our scale now to 1 to 5 because our dimensions were a little bit too huge. Now we add a parameter to each dimension. Under Label we click on Add Parameter and give it a name, let's say Frame Width, and we make sure it's a type parameter. And now we hit the lock button, and because we want to keep it simple, we just stay with 1 parameters for all our dimensions. So we just click on a dimension, and under Label we just click on the already set parameter, we just call it Frame Width. The same thing we're going to do with the other dimensions. Click on it, and then under Label click on the already set parameter. And as you see with this option, the lock button closes automatically. So now we're going to test our parameters, and under Family Types, under Dimensions, we see our parameters, and we change the frame width to 20 centimeters. Click on Apply and then on OK. It seems to be OK, but then you see that the inner frame is not in the center axis of the outer frame. So what we do now, we add a new dimension. Again we click on Annotate on the Align Dimension, and we dimension the reference planes of the outer frame with its center reference plane. So we click on the 3 dimensions, and then we hit the little EQ button. And this makes sure that the center reference plane always stays at the center, that the left and the right distance, that they stay the same. And now we're going to do the same thing with the inner frame in our horizontal reference planes, and we click the EQ. Okay, and now we're going to test our new dimensions in our Family Types. Change the width, click on Apply on OK, and we see it's working. The inner frame is in the center of the outer frame. Okay, so now we can erase our symbolic lines, and we can start to draw our geometry, our frame geometry. And for this we use the sweep. We click on Pick Path, we change to the exterior view, and we click, it's not working. Again we click on Pick Path, and now we click on the edges of our opening. all 4 edges. What we need to do now is to adjust our reference plane where we're going to draw the section. And how's that working now? And we move it to the edge where our reference planes are for the frame section. Okay, click on OK. And now we change to our reference level and start to draw the profile on the left edge of the window. We click on Edit Profile and we click the Line tool. It's the first in the box, and we start to draw our lines close to our reference planes of the section of the window frame. And now we use the Align tool to align the lines to our reference planes. So every time again we click on our reference plane, click on our line, and we hit the lock button. And again click on the reference plane, on the line, and we don't forget to hit the lock button. Okay, the last one. So now we hit OK, and again, and we got already 3-dimensional window. Check it in the 3D view. Yeah, seems to be quite nice. Now I change to a shaded view. Okay, now you see it's not inside the opening, so what we do is we just add a new dimension, annotate a line dimension, and we choose the reference plane of the exterior wall, and we hit the first reference plane of the window. We add a parameter under label, add parameter. We call it depth, and again as a type parameter. Hit OK, hit the lock button, and we go to our family types, and we change the value to 6 centimeters. Apply and OK, and we see it is working. Okay, we go back to our 70 centimeters, and now we can start to draw our glass inside the interior, inside the inner window frame. So we choose the center reference plane of the inner frame, and under properties we change its name to glass. This is going to be our work plane for our solid extrusion for the glass. So we go under Home, click on Extrusion, now we use the Baseline tool. Make sure the lock button is on, and we hit the inner edges of our frame. Click on Work Plane, on Set Work Plane, and change the name to Glass. That's the reference plane we just set. Now we enter the value for the extrusion start to -1 and for the extrusion end. That's because the reference plane is in the center, in the middle of our glass. Click on OK, go back to reference level, and now we see our glass, which is set in the inner frame. Okay, go to our 3-dimensional view, and we see the window has no materials yet, so we just click on a frame, and on the properties by category we click on the material and click on the default and duplicate the default material and just give it a name frame. That's because there is no frame material set yet. We won't want to keep it simple, so we just give it a simple color. We won't explain anything about render appearances yet, and we don't need a surface or a cut pattern now. So we just change the color of the material of the frame. Do the same thing with the glass. Under properties we click on the material, and now there is already a glass material, so we just apply it and click on OK, and now our window has materials we change the depth of our window to 6 centimeters, so it's inside the wall opening again, and we save our family in the metric library folder under Windows, and we give it a name basic window. So there is already a basic window file, so we just change it to a second one. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna set some family types. First, it's 1 by 1 meter, so we just change the height to 1. The width is already 1 meter. We put a second one, 1 by 2 meters, so we change the height to 2 meters, and a third one, I'll just choose a 2 by 1, so we change it under family types. Okay, now we got 3 types, and we load the window into our project where we got already a wall, and here we just place our window types. We place our basic window 1 by 1, we place our basic window 1 by 2 meters, just on our basic window 2 by 1 meters. We just place them into the wall, and everything looks quite nice as it's supposed to be. And now if we would like, we can adjust our windows even in our project. So we just click on any type, and then on edit type, on duplicate, and we give it a name. Let's say we want a window with a thick frame, call it 1 by 1 thick frame, and change the frame parameter to 12 centimeters, let's say. Click on OK, and we see that the parameter of the frame changed correctly. Now we just check it in our elevation views. Everything looks quite as it's supposed to be. Okay, great. To sum up this tutorial, whenever you start to create a new family, you always need to choose the correct template. So when you want to draw a window, you choose the window template, and when you want to draw furniture, choose the furniture template, or something simple, you might even use the generic template, and there are many more. And then you don't start by drawing the geometry itself, you always start by drawing reference planes. That's just the way Revit works, and that's just it keeps your drawing clean and simple. And then you dimension these reference planes. And if you have geometry that is divided into several parts that have the same dimensions, and you want to keep the proportion, you might need to use the EQ dimensions. If you have dimensions which you want to change later on, you should always add parameters to these dimensions. Using parameters and knowing how to use parameters, that just speeds up your workflow. And after you add parameters, always test them. It's a lot faster to find mistakes when your drawing is still clean, you have no geometry in it. Once you tested your parameters, then you just draw the geometry. You use the extrusion tool or use the sweep tool, and then you just align the geometry to your reference planes. And never forget to log. Thanks for watching Revit Advanced tutorials, and I hope to see you next time.